wanna grow up, I'm a Toys R Us kid. They got a million toys at Toys R Us that I can play with. I don't wanna grow up, I'm a Toys R Us kid. They got the best for so much less, you really flip your lip. From bikes to trains to video games, it's the biggest toy store there is. Gee whiz! I don't wanna grow up, 'cause baby, if I did, I couldn't be a Toys R Us kid. More games, more toys. Oh boy, I wanna be a Toys R Us kid.
Growing up as a child in the 90s, the best place to go for any toy imaginable was Toys R Us. There was just something so magical, so amazing about walking or running into Toys R Us and just seeing wall-to-wall, floor-to-ceiling toys. You could spend all day there looking at all kinds of toys that you didn't even know existed, and it probably annoyed your parents in the fact that you were probably running up and down every single aisle looking at everything. But in 2017, Toys R Us was in trouble. From making an early deal with Amazon to having unpaid debts, it wasn't long before the most popular and most magical toy store shut its doors. Today we are taking a look at the most iconic toy store from its interesting beginnings, rise in popularity, downfall, and mild comeback. Grab a blanket, some snacks, even your favorite toy, and let's dive into another episode of Behind the Toys with me, SJ. In 1948, Charles Lazarus, a World War II veteran, was only 25 when he decided to open his own baby furniture store. You see, he was taking full advantage of the baby boom that was happening at the time. The economy after World War II was thriving. People had money. People were living their best lives. And because they had so much money to go around, a lot of people were having babies. Now, the business was actually doing great. But the one issue was furniture back then was built to last. It was not built out of the flimsy particle board stuff that we have nowadays. And because that furniture was built so well and built to last, people weren't really coming back for more furniture. But they were coming back to ask about a specific thing, and that was toys. Taking this into consideration, Charles decided to start selling baby toys along with his baby furniture. He has stated that he never intended on ever getting into the toy business, but he wanted to give his customers what they were asking for. After working in the baby furniture and baby toy business for quite some time, Charles actually decided to do a full pivot away from furniture altogether. He had this idea of creating a supermarket for toys, basically selling toys like a supermarket sells groceries. He wanted the store to be a one-stop shop where parents and kids could find what they needed year-round. So he started buying toys in bulk and started making deals with manufacturers and toy suppliers to be able to sell the toys at a fraction of the cost. And in June of 1957, in Rockville, Maryland, he opened his first toy store called Toys R Us. So where did the name Toys R Us come from? Toys, because, that's what the store was focused on, toys. The backwards are for the childlike nature of the store, and us because Charles's last name was Lazarus, and business was booming. Customers walked in and were just amazed at the stock of toys. I mean, any toy you could think of was in that store, floor to ceiling, wall to wall. And the prices those are what attracted parents and gift givers the most. Whatever the hottest toy or the most popular toy was at the moment could be found on the Toys R Us shelves for a fraction of the price. Charles opened up this toy store at such a great time. You see, the 60s, 70s, and 80s were the best time to open up a standalone big box store like Toys R Us, because at the time there was no competition. There was no TV in most households, no e-commerce, and no internet. So going to Toys R Us at that time, or even any store at that time, was considered an experience. It was something to do because, truthfully, there was nothing to really do because, like I said, there was no internet, and a lot of households at that time did not have TV. And into the late 80s and the 1990s, business for Toys R Us was still going strong. People were having more kids at that time as well. And what is the one thing that kids ask for? Toys. Toys R Us rode this wave of success. They opened more stores and they dove headfirst into commercials when they started to notice that more and more households were starting to get TVs.
Grow up, don't wanna grow up. I don't wanna grow up, don't wanna grow up. I don't wanna grow up. I'm a Toys R Us kid. There's a million toys at Toys R Us that I can play with. Bikes to trains to video games, it's the biggest toy store there is.
They had a 98% brand recognition. If you ask anyone today or back then where they went for their toys, what was their favorite toy store, it was a given that they were going to say Toys R Us. And it's very hard to come across somebody who was born in the 80s and 90s who doesn't know the lyrics, I don't want to grow up, I want to be a Toys R Us kid. Toys R Us also owned 25% of the market share with toys. They had the ability to make or break a toy. So if you were a toy manufacturer or a supplier back in the day, you wanted to be on good terms. You wanted to be besties with Toys R Us, because if your toy was being launched at Toys R Us, chances are that that toy was going to be known. One thing that many people don't know is that when Target and Walmart first came out onto the scene, they weren't the big stores that many people know them as today. They were actually relatively small and didn't have a lot of merchandise. I still remember the day that my local Walmart when I was growing up became a super Walmart and we got the grocery section. That was like huge. That was like such a big deal. Once Walmart and Target had the opportunity to double in size and carry more merchandise, obviously they took it. And one merchandise item that they were able to carry more of was toys. You see, Walmart and Target would stock the most popular toys at the time and sell them for more reasonable prices. And once both these stores were able to double in size and carry more merchandise, they actually ended up becoming a one-stop shop. No more were mom and dad having to drive from one store to another to get either clothing, groceries, or toys. They could get all of those items now within Walmart or Target. So why would mom or dad now want to, after shopping, grocery shopping, whatever, want to go and make the trek to Toys R Us? Now, Toys R Us wasn't dumb. They saw this competition and they were not about to lose their spot as number one. They had to continue to be the top toy store. So they decided to make their stores more of a experience destination. While it had already been an experience at one point to go to Toys R Us, now they wanted to take it even further. The Thomas the Tank Engine section in the store now had a train table where you could play with the toys before you bought them. The gaming console area now had a little TV setup where you could test out the most popular games that were coming out. Like you could play them before you bought the game. The Barbie section now looked like you were stepping into Barbie's world. So much pink. so much. They even painted the floor in the section of the store pink, so it was like you were walking on a pink runway. Even started making bigger displays and doing even more promotions to help keep foot traffic in the store. And this kind of helped. Now, back then, even with the rise of Walmart and Target, I think Toys R Us could have still been fine, especially since it was a toy store. They carried all kinds of toys. Whereas Walmart and Target just stocked the latest and hottest toys at the time. There wasn't really any hidden gems or treasures that they were carrying when it came to toys. But in the late 90s, we had the rise of internet. And Toys R Us decided to make a move that many people believe was just the start of the downfall of Toys R Us. They partnered with Amazon. Amazon struck a deal with Toys R Us in the 2000s. Both companies entered a 10-year agreement where Toys R Us would be the exclusive seller of toys and baby products on the Amazon website, with Toys R Us paying Amazon $50 million annually, plus a percentage of sales. Amazon would be responsible for running the online platform and fulfilling orders, while Toys R Us focused on product inventory. And with this little business deal, Toys R Us actually ended up helping Amazon become more well-known. Because at the time, maybe some of you don't know, Amazon actually started out as like an online bookstore selling books. They didn't have all the stuff on the website that you can find now. And with making this deal, Amazon promised Toys R Us that no other merchants would be allowed to sell toys on the website. But of course, Amazon went back on that promise and started allowing other merchants to sell toys on the website. In the early 2000s, we also saw the rise of technology. More gaming consoles, portable DVD players, handheld camcorders, digital cameras, hit clips, video now, digital pets. It was like the age of technology. And toy manufacturers saw this and started gearing these items towards kids. This caused kids to turn away from the most popular action figure, or even Barbie at the time, and start moving into this digital age. They wanted their own laptop, they wanted their own tablet, their own digital camera, handheld camcorder. No longer did they want the very basic toys. Of course, Toys R Us saw this and they were like, okay, we're going to create a section in the store dedicated to all of this new tech stuff that's coming out. The issue with that was this area was relatively small. Yes, they carried the latest and greatest with the tech toys, but it was small. It wasn't huge. And, kids coming into Toys R Us looking for the latest and greatest tech stuff were met with just a very small area. Toys R Us sales were still doing decently well, but they were so focused on the competition and trying to beat Target and Walmart and trying to stay on top that they made a very stupid decision. They started to be like Target and Walmart. They cut their toy section way back and decided to do what they were doing and focus on only the hottest and most popular toys and stocking those. No longer could you go to the store and see every toy imaginable and find something that you didn't even know existed. One of the problems with cutting back on their toy inventory and just carrying the hottest, most popular toys is they started to raise the prices. Their prices were much higher than Target and Walmart. So why would you want to go to Toys R Us when you can get the same exact thing at Walmart or Target for half the price? At this time, they also decided to branch out with Kids R Us, which was a children's clothing store. They also came up with Babies R Us, which kind of went right back to the beginning of what Charles Lazarus was originally doing, which was selling baby furniture and baby clothes. He even went as far as updating their mascot. I know him as Jeffrey, the giraffe, but I've heard people say Joffrey the giraffe. So have I been saying it wrong my entire life? I don't know. Maybe. It wouldn't surprise me. But 2001 Joffrey was my favorite. There was just something about using a realistic looking giraffe to showcase the store and all of their items that I just loved so much.
Hello, welcome to Toys R Us. Can I help you?
Probably not. I've been all over and nobody... Is that Hokey Pokey Elmo?
Oh, well, yes it is, sir.
It's the last one. I got the last Hokey Pokey Elmo! I love this man!
What was that all about?
I don't know.
A lot of people hate 2001 Joffrey, but I love him. All of this was being done at the time to compete with Target and Walmart and even Amazon. Toys R Us wanted to stay on top. They did not want to lose brand recognition. They did not want to lose foot traffic. And the CEO at the time actually came out and said that Toys R Us was actually in debt long before Amazon came along. Like long before the internet came along. And this surprising knowledge of finding out that Toys R Us was actually already in debt long before the birth of internet or online shopping caused a lot of stores to not get renovations that they needed, and for some customer service to even decline at some of the stores. And a lot of people were coming out and saying that they did not enjoy shopping at Toys R Us anymore. They felt like walking into Toys R Us was like walking into a dirty, dimly lit warehouse. It was like Toys R Us had lost its magic, its luster. They were trying so hard to beat the competition. I feel like they lost their identity along the way. In 2005, growth and profits for Toys R Us were falling, and shareholders were starting to get nervous and scared. So Toys R Us decided to go private with a leverage buyout, which is the acquisition of a company using a significant amount of borrowed money with the target company's assets often being used as collateral for the loans. This is kind of bad because debt is used for the acquisition financing, and if a company fails to meet the performance expectations, the debt burden can become unsustainable and very difficult to pay back. It's like you're using debt to buy debt to get you out of debt. And a leverage buyout has an almost 100% fail rate when a company chooses to do that, and can cause the company to go into bankruptcy. This leverage buyout caused $6.6 billion in loan debt for Toys R Us. Where do you even begin to figure out how to pay $6.6 billion in debt? Like, where do you even start? From 2006 to 2013, Toys R Us only had uno profitable year, and that was 2013. That's not good, especially when you have $6.6 billion worth of debt that you need to pay back. But fear not, they had hope. They were holding on to hope. And that hope was in the form of the holiday season that was coming up, especially Black Friday. On September 18th, 2017, Toys R Us filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy. Filing for bankruptcy as a business, as a retail business, in the month of September, like, I'm going to explain why they did it, but in my opinion, it wasn't the best move, because that is the time when many stores are starting to prepare for Q4, which is the holiday season. This is when they start getting their shipments in to be sold for Black Friday through the holiday season all the way up until Christmas. The reason Toys R Us filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy in September was this would give them the flexibility to deal with the billions of dollars in long-term debt by borrowing $2 million to pay suppliers for the upcoming Black Friday and holiday season, and also invest in its operations. Why is Black Friday so important to retailers? Because it is the unofficial start to the holiday shopping season, helping get retailers out of the red and into the black. You see, back in the day, red ink was used to show negative amounts, and black ink was used to show positive amounts. Hence the name or term Black Friday. Anyways, this hope that Toys R Us had was sadly shattered. The news that they had filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy had been leaked to their suppliers. This actually scared the suppliers. They said, hey, so sorry for your bad luck, but we don't feel comfortable sending you our product because you have filed for bankruptcy, which in turn means we might not get paid. And that holiday season is what ruined it for Toys R Us. They didn't get any product in. They barely had any product in store to sell. And it was a devastating holiday season. And in March of 2018, Toys R Us Corporation closed their doors. They posted an image of Jeffrey, holding a suitcase with a little thank you note saying, "Play on. Thanks to each of you who shared your amazing journey to and through parenthood with us. And to every grandparent, aunt, uncle, brother, and sister who's built a couch cushion rocket ship, made up a hero adventure, or invented something gooey. Promise us just this one thing. Don't ever grow up. Play on." Why am I getting teary-eyed? I will not lie. When Toys R Us closed, I will admit, I actually did stop shopping at Toys R Us. I mean, they were getting a little expensive. But when Toys R Us closed, it was like a part of my childhood officially died with it. And it's sad to know that I have a daughter and I could not take her into Toys R Us and experience the joy and amazement and magic that I once experienced walking through that store. And sadly, a week after the Toys R Us chain was liquidated, Charles Lazarus, the founder of Toys R Us, passed away. But that's not the end. Toys R Us is technically back. In some Macy's locations, they do have a Toys R Us store area, but it is not the same. It is a shell of what it once was. Also been doing a lot of holiday pop-up type shops. Again, it's not the same. And their stuff is still a little expensive. What I can find at the Macy's Toys R Us, I can find on the shelf at Walmart or Target for half the price. And it's sad because I absolutely love Toys R Us. I think if Toys R Us had focused just a little bit more on their online platform, like getting the glitches out of their website and not dragging their feet so long to get it started, I think they would have been fine. I also think if Toys R Us had not tried so hard to stay on top to beat its competitors, I think they would have been fine. They were focusing so much on the money and being number one and beating their competitors that they forgot who they were. They forgot that they were this magical place that kids loved going to and finding so many toys they didn't know were there, or, buying the latest and greatest popular toy or tech at the time. So I think maybe, just maybe, if they had stayed that magical toy store that so many kids have fond memories of going to. They could have still been here in all their glory. But go ahead and let me know some of your memories that you might have of Toys R Us. Were you sad to see them go? And do you think that they could have potentially still been around today in all of their magic and wonder and glory? All that kind of stuff. And I hope to see you in the next video. Love you.
I don't wanna grow up. I'm a Toys R Us kid. There's a million toys at Toys R Us that we can play with. From bikes to trains to video games. It's the biggest toy store there is. I don't wanna grow up, 'cause if I did, I wouldn't be a Toys R Us kid.